prophecy and praying for other people, and 2/3 of the room got up to receive prayer ministry. Isn't that amazing? So they told us that before Billy and I started speaking, and we felt pressure of, oh my goodness, now we've got to live up to this. And anyway, then, so we kind of oriented ourselves, and you do that thing where you go, oh, it's not about me, it's about Jesus, and you kind of let that go.
Yeah.
And then the worship starts, and it's very hip and kind of Hillsong, young people, young and free. And so there's a mosh pit going on in the worship, and I suddenly realised how old I am. And we're no longer youth, and I feel really awkward in my body. And anyway, it's just one of those things. So anyway, so Billy and I got up, and we did a talk for a little while, and then we invited the Holy Spirit to come. And I don't know how many people, but it was upwards of 20 people who got healings last night. And it was absolutely incredible. We had a moment where there were sort of 7 or 8 people being prayed for, and then we asked them sort of on a scale of, if you're the same as you were, you're at 0, and if you're fully healed, you're 10. If you could just sort of raise your hand if you've had any movement in healing. And this kid over here raises his hand. His name was Ezekiel, and he said, "Yeah, I've got some movement in my back which I haven't had for 3 months." And we were like, "Cool. So is that like a 2 or 3?" And he was like, "Oh, it's probably a little 4." And so then I said, "Okay, well, keep praying." And it took Jesus twice with the blind man, so it takes us at least twice. So the people around him kept praying. We were doing some other things, and then with the call out came from the other side and said, "It's 10! It's 10!" And his back was completely free, and it was absolutely amazing. And then this kind of roller coaster occurred, and all of these young people were praying. It wasn't, specific trained leaders who were doing it. It was young people praying for young people, and these healings took place. It was absolutely incredible. There was one girl who has had a back issue for years. She had an infection. She used to play loads of sport, and that's all over. And she, wanted to go outward bound this next year, but just didn't think that her body would do it. She has pain all the time in her back. And a group of us prayed for her, and she said, "I feel like I'm on a cloud, and my back is like really hot." And I said, "What would you love to do if you could, if your back was able to move?" And she said, "I would love to run, and I love to swim." And I said, "Well, go for a run." She was like, "Cool." I said, "No, now." And she said, "Oh, okay." And so out the door she went, she ran off, and then some other people, she'd gone, so we went and prayed for some other people. And then she comes running back in the room like this. And then one of her friends comes and tells me and says, "You didn't realise that she also had asthma, but she didn't have any problems breathing when she was running." I don't get it sometimes. We prayed for some other people, they didn't get healed. But some people did. It's just amazing. So anyway, so Billy and I are a little bit tired because the prayer ministry went on, and we were like, "Oh, let's catch the Spirit while it's here." And so we prayed as much as we could, and then got home late. But I'm going to do some speaking now about the soul. And what I want you to do is I want you to turn to the person next to you, and I want you to answer 2 questions. The first is, what do you think of when you hear the word soul? And then second, what do you think the soul is? Okay, so what do you think of when you hear the word soul? And what do you think the soul is? So speak to the person next to you. People just want to shout out what they think of when they hear the word soul. God in me. The Beatles record. Yeah. No, seriously. That's what comes into our minds. I heard somebody say soul food. What else do people think of when you hear the word soul? Yeah.
Your inner being.
Sorry?
Your
Your inner being, like Stuart's in a world that was talking to himself. Yeah.
Shoe.
Sorry? The essence of the person.
The shoe.
Shoe.
Soul of my
The
shoe.
soul of your shoe. Thank you. Love. Yeah, love. We love from our souls, eh? Yeah.
I think it's just next between you and God.
Between you and God. Yeah.
It's the bit that makes me actually alive.
The bit that makes you alive. Yeah, that's cool.
You care for your soul.
Sorry?
You care for your soul.
We do need to care for our soul. Yes. The essential inner part, yeah. The real me. It's cool. There's lots of opinions out there about what the soul is, and I'm going to share with you what I think the soul is, and it's come from particularly a guy called Dallas Willard teaches on this quite considerably, and his learning has come from the ancient world concepts of this and trying to understand what Jesus meant when he talked about soul. What I want to talk about is that passage that we just heard, which says the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, strength, and love your neighbour as yourself. Yeah? So Jesus, in some kind of mechanical way, is labelling the parts of ourselves in that statement. Yes? And we need to understand the parts of ourselves if we're to love the Lord our God with all of them. Do you know what I mean? And if we don't understand them, then when something goes wrong, like Stuart was describing in his inner monologue, sometimes things go wrong in us and we don't know how to get involved in fixing it. Do you know what I mean? Like when my car breaks down, I know nothing about cars, right? So I have to go to the mechanic because he knows what to do. He knows that when it makes that sound, it's the fan belt. Do you know what I mean? Or he knows it's the radiator. Or something. I don't know what it is. I need someone to know. So if you want to be involved in giving your all to the Lord, if you want to be involved in having all parts of your life being redeemed, then you need to know which parts what parts exist. And I'm going to start with the centre of ourselves. I'm going to have a number of circles here. Can everyone see the board? Yeah? Okay. At the centre of yourself is what we tend to call the will. Okay? This is simply a decider. This is integral to who you are. Right in the centre of yourself is like a ticker. It kind of makes a decision, yes or no. Okay? Your will is also called in the ancient world, it's also called the heart or the spirit. So the use of the word heart doesn't describe what we tend to use the word heart for now. We tend to use the word heart now for the thing that beats in your body or for emotions or feelings. But actually what it was describing in the ancient world and in the scriptures is talking about the location of your will. Yeah? So guard your heart because it is the wellspring of your soul. Yeah? So at the centre of yourself, you need to guard this. Okay? So create in me a new heart, O God. Yeah? Spirit, it doesn't tend to get used that much in the Old Testament. It's used a few times, but it's used in other ancient literature to describe this same function. And what it is when we describe something that is spirited, like a spirited horse. Yeah, we have a very spirited 3-year-old, which you guys saw this morning. And we describe it also as a strong will, don't we? Yeah? We're glad she has a strong will, but it's really hard. Do you know what I mean? That's that. But at the centre, it is the will, and it's where we create out of nothing. It's where we say yes or no to something, and the culmination of our choices is what makes up our character. Yeah. So if you consistently choose to be angry, then you get described as an angry person. Yes? If you consistently choose to be filled with joy, then you are a joyful person. Yeah? And that's what happens in the centre of yourself. The will is where we exercise our authority. It's where we get to have a kingdom. God has given us a kingdom. We're made in His image. If you remember that in Genesis chapter 1, it says we're made in the image, male and female have made them, and He made them in His image, and He gave them dominion over the sea and the birds, and so there's something integral there about our will that's made in His image, free will, and that exercise of authority. Our will is really good at making decisions. Like our will can get ourselves married. Yeah, I will. Yeah, yeah. But actually, it's true, isn't it? We make decisions here. So we choose to take up a job, or we choose to move house, or we choose. Those choices are made here. But the will is actually really limited because it fails really quickly with any pressure from the mind or the body. If you've got a habit in your body, it overrides your will. Yeah? When we try to resist temptation just by willpower, you like chocolate coffee or whatever, it's hard, isn't it? Yeah? And when we make, we use the will a lot when we're trying to make an impression, a good impression. If you go to a job interview, or if you have the in-laws coming over to stay or something, and you get exhausted, don't you? And that's because you're trying to do something really hard, yeah? One activity that is not draining for the will is surrender. Our little wills, this is a quote from John Hallberg, our little wills were made to surrender to God. Yeah? We see that most clearly in the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus says, not my, but your. He surrenders his will in that moment. It's what we pray, some of us every day, but most of us every week. Your will be done, here on earth as in heaven. Not my will, your will be done. Yeah? Right at the center of our being. That's a big deal. Because we get free choice in our will. And we like to exercise our authority. But he's inviting us to surrender it. The next part of ourself is what is called the mind. Okay, and here in the mind is where the feelings and the thoughts take place. Okay, I used to think that, until I researched for this sermon really, I kind of thought that the feelings and the thought were separated. But actually they're not. You don't ever really have a thought without some feeling attached to it. And you don't really ever have any feeling without some thought attached to it. And that kind of all happens in the mind. And the mind is the place where where in this realm, two of the most powerful things that occur there are ideas and images. Our ideas shape us, don't they? We all have ideas. Some of them we know, some of them we don't recognise. Yeah? And changing our ideas is a big deal. Yeah? Do you know what I mean? Some of us have really deep-seated ideas. Talk to someone who was in South Africa who had to learn to actually love someone of a different colour. Because it's deep in their ideas that the other person was not okay. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, we grow up with those ideas, don't we? Some of us get formed in certain ways that we think that this is right or that is right. It's so annoying when you're talking to someone and their ideas are just so blunt that you can't change them. Have you ever had an argument with someone who you've proved that they're wrong, but they won't move? Yeah? That's because their ideas are set. It's in their mind. Okay, images. That what we picture is really key. Our images of the images are really powerful. Like, for example, if I said to you, picture a church service, some of you might picture organ music, or the Anglican prayer book, or pews. Some people might picture a guitar and worship songs and hands in the air. They're two very vastly different things, aren't they? Yeah, and those images actually portray groups of people and reasons behind those things. Images are powerful. The greatest image of all is the one that Jesus chose for himself. It is the one that has lasted all generations and will do forever, and it's the cross. It is the greatest image. And if we think about that when we think about God, we will see God as a self-sacrificing, all-loving, embracing Redeemer. Yeah? But if we have an image of God that he's out to get us, or to tell us off, or to sort us out, that doesn't do us good, does it? No. So here, this is where Romans 12, this explains it most clearly. It says, do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Yeah? So this here then has an effect on the will. The next part of the self is the body. Okay, this is where your will and your kingdom exercises its dominion. It's where you get to choose things and operate things and move about and do stuff. This is this is where the place of habits exists. Yes? So if you have a habit where you drink alcohol a lot, that's your body, yeah? And that impacts your will. So you can try really hard to change that, but it's in your habits that you desire the alcohol. Yes? That's why you need to surrender your will in the 12-step program. They have to surrender their will. Anyone realise that? Seen that? Yeah? So they say, I'm not God. Somebody else says, I've surrendered my will and let this be changed. In our habits, God has designed our bodies really, really well. In our habits, this enables us to do things that we previously did in our mind, but now we can do without thinking about it. Like driving a car. Do you remember when you first started driving a car? And how laborious it was? And how ages it took you, trying to stay in your lane? Do you know what I mean? And, and I learned in a manual and, getting the clutch and everything, and you're thinking it all through and reversing around the corner. It's hard. But now it's not hard, is it? Now I do it mostly without thinking. And that's generally good. But do you know what I mean? That's a habit. I remember when I was learning to play tennis, and this tennis coach was trying to teach us to follow through, because I had quite a strong arm, so I just basically would hit the ball like this, and it would go pretty well. But he was saying, if you follow through, you get even more of a hit. And so what I trained myself first and foremost was to kind of do this, and then I pretended, But then I got used to it, And now, whenever I hit a tennis ball, it's hard not to follow through. I have to think about it if I want to pull short. Do you know what I mean? Because actually, that's the most natural thing for me. My habits have been trained. You don't think about brushing your teeth. You know what I mean? It's a habit. And we form spiritual habits here. Yeah? And they affect our mind affects them, and the will. Yes? Are you with me? The next one is our social, I don't know what else to call it, social realm, social engagement, social connections. This is something you do. Which is that you probably have noticed that the love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, strength, and love your neighbour as yourself. Yeah? The people that are around us impact us, don't they? And we impact them. Yeah? I have habits that I didn't have before I was married. They're good ones. I learned them from good people. But do you know what I mean? Our habits, our life gets changed by the people we live with, and by the people we let impact us. I remember being moved in class to sit next to Michael Avery because he talked too much, and they thought that I was going to be a good, impact upon Michael because I was a good, well-studying kid. What happened was that I started talking to Michael a lot, and he impacted me, but that's what happens, you know what I mean? The people we choose to surround ourselves with, that's why we care about who our kids hang out with, don't we?
It's still impacting you.
It's still impacting me, isn't it? I blame Michael for it, eh? Yeah, okay. So all of these things have impacts on each other, but they all drive at different levels. Do you know what I mean? If we've got a fixed thing in our mind, it counteracts what's going on in our body. For example, our bodily habits like, has anyone been to Cinnamon the cinnamon scroll place on Victoria Avenue? Oh, you should go. They claimed at the beginning, on their tagline, before they opened, that they were the, what is it? Yeah, the home of cinnamon scrolls in New Zealand. And I was like, well, that's a big claim. My mum makes really good cinnamon scrolls. You're not going to beat that. And then I ate them. They're that good. Yeah, they're better than my mum's. No, she owns it too. My mum makes the best lots of other things, but she, it's amazing when she comes and visits us here. She buys them en route because they're amazing. I was trying really hard recently to not have a cinnamon scroll. I needed to not eat another one because I'd had quite a few that day already. And I said, Lord, if you want me to have a cinnamon scroll, then there'll be a car park outside Cinnamanui. And sure enough, on the 6th time around the block, there was. Do you know what I mean? Our habits, they rule us, don't they? In my mind, I know I shouldn't eat something, but my body wants it. Do you know what I mean? Yes, Brenda.
Are they better than peanut butter?
Are they? No, they're not better than peanut butter. No, sorry. Maybe we can put peanut butter on them. Anyway, the last thing that I want to draw out here, and this is what Dallas Willard, the way that he describes it. He describes that the ancient world thinks of it this way, and there's a couple of variations of the ancient world, but this is, and I find this particularly helpful, this diagram. But he then writes as this last one is the soul. The soul is the integration of all of your parts. When we are resurrected, all of these parts will still be there. Yes? Your will still be there. Your mind will still be there. Your body, you'll have a new body, probably a slightly upgraded one. But it'll still be a body. Yeah? And you'll still have relations with people. Sometimes we think that the soul is this kind of ethereal thing, the kind of Looney Tunes picture of the soul. You know when Daffy Duck gets hit and then the kind of ghost thing comes out of him? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, we sometimes think that that's the soul, but the soul isn't that. The soul is the integration of everything. And this is really important because what Jesus offers us is wholeness. So I don't know if you noticed, but particularly in the Gospel of Luke he uses this, but any time that Jesus heals someone, the term is used sozo, which means wholeness. And Luke uses the same word, and so does Matthew, for the word salvation. Salvation is wholeness. It's the integration of the whole soul. But we know, and our scriptures tell us, and we can experience, that our souls are not integrated. They're disintegrated, aren't they? There's all sorts of things that split our souls. In fact, when we sin, we sever our souls. For example, when we desire something here, but we think it might not be right. For example, there was an anthropological study, on university students and on how much they'll lie. Okay, so somebody did a study on this, and what they discovered is that around finals time, so the time when you're doing your final exams, the grandparents are 200% more likely to die than any other time of the year. Oh, my grandma died, so can I have a better grade on this? Do you know what I mean? Isn't it funny? When I heard that quote, the person said, the best thing that any grandparents can do is stop your kids going to college. You're more likely to die, but there's this thing that people are willing to, and we are all willing to lie in some way, as long as it doesn't, transcend the thing that we say in our mind. Because in our mind here, we've got our self-image, we've got our conscience, that's all inside the mind here, and our self-image is that we're a good person, yeah? I don't know if you've ever heard that, but I've heard it so many times that people say to me, oh, no, I'm a good person. Yeah? Even though they've done something wrong. And at that moment, what happens is you split your mind. Because you live one way and think another way. We all do that every day in the way that we split our body. Because we do this thing where we manage our faces, don't we? When you're talking to someone who you don't like very much, but you don't want them to know that you don't like very much, what do? You manage your face accordingly. Yes? We present ourselves. It's exhausting to do that, but we have learned how to do that skillfully as adults. That's why we love 2-year-olds, eh? Because they haven't learned to manage their faces. Our 18-month-year-old, when she eats something she doesn't like, what happens? She hasn't learned that that's not okay. When I'm sitting around the table and there are other people eating their food and they don't like, Do you know what I mean? That's actually severing our souls. Because we're living one way and not having integrity. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying we should all spit our food out. But we should be true to ourselves, shouldn't we? And that's what Jesus invites us. Now, Jesus was a perfectly integrated soul. He figured out how to do this, how to live this way. And with the power of the Holy Spirit with him, that's what he lived like. His engagement with people, the way he talked with people, was totally and utterly true the whole time. There was such beautiful integrity. But for us, sin has poisoned these parts. It's poisoned our body. We have desires in our body that are not healthy, and we know that. We have issues in our mind. We have ideas that we know are not good. We have regular anxious thoughts occurring there. Yeah? And God is willing to heal all of this. In a moment, we're going to move into communion. And then when you come up for communion, there's an opportunity after that to come and receive some prayer. And I would encourage everybody to receive some prayer. I know that you, as well as me, have corruption in every part of your being. And as I've been speaking, you may have been nudged in some way. I've actually got a particular habit in this way, or I've actually got an issue here. And I know it's vulnerable to name that, but but that's why we confess things, yes? Don't you love that we're the only institution that does that? Yeah? I think it's amazing. The church, every week, we confess. We say where we've been wrong. You notice no one else does that? Air New Zealand would like to apologise, for any inconvenience that we may have caused. And it's pre-recorded. Wouldn't it be different if they said, we just want to say we're really sorry that we may have messed up some of your arrangements, and we're sorry that we failed to get the plane on time? Wouldn't that be powerful? But they don't do that. But we do, because we know that confession heals the soul. Yes? So that's one thing you could do. You could go up for prayer and ask just for the Lord to heal you and give forgiveness. Perhaps there's some other parts of your soul that you're like, Lord, I need this to be reorientated and blessed. Lord, I need to think better thoughts about myself. I need to learn how to love my neighbour better. Yeah? Or I've got an issue in my social realm where I don't love my sister. And I need you to come and care for me and help me do that. I recommend that when you come and take your communion, there'll be people scattered around the room. Go and get prayer. Yeah, we had some training on Friday night for prayer ministry, so we've got an extra group of people to do prayer ministry. So there's going to be about 6 or 7 couples scattered around. Just go find a couple. If they're all filled up, just join the queue. It's fine to do that. But let's take this moment to recognise that God offers us redemption in every part of our soul. He's that good. And when we're redeemed, we'll be beautiful, won't we? We'll be beautiful. And we want the world to operate like this. We want to know this stuff, that we can talk to the world about this. Amen? Shall I pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you so much that you have made us beautifully and wonderfully. And you have made us to surrender to you and to be integrated by you. We pray that you would bless us in this room. You would bless us with insight about what we need to bring to you, who are the perfect Redeemer of our souls. Bless us, Lord. Give us the courage to come to you. In Jesus' perfect and powerful name, we pray.